we've taken a look at the Ender 3. Let's go a little bit bigger. This is a generic CR-10v3 as far as I can tell. Let's get into it. Hey, thanks again for joining us. If you remember back, we unboxed and looked at an Ender 3v2, and I was pleasantly surprised considering what we paid, and quite frankly, my expectations were set kind of low on that one. But we'll card to that video somewhere right above me. This is not a CR-10v3, although it should be. It is a Pyramid A1 Titan, which as far as I can tell is a CR-10v3. It's got a Titan direct drive system, a 300 by 300 by 400 millimeter build area, a silent, we're gonna put quotes on silent motherboard, we'll see how that one pans out, max nozzle temperature of 250 degrees centigrade, so likely not an all metal hot end, bed temp of 110, pretty standard there. It says it's an easy add-on for a BL Touch. Well, we're gonna find that one out soon. Resume printing, we're gonna test that. Filament runout sensor, we're gonna test that. And a 3.5-inch LCD touchscreen. The first part of this video is going to be actually after I've unboxed this thing. That way, if you are looking to buy one, of course, links to it will be in the description down below. Affiliate, because it helps our channel grow. And then, afterwards, we will get to that beautiful unboxing so you can see all the pain or all the fun that I go through. This is the ToAuto Pyramid A1.1 Titan. It is effectively a CR-10v3. It is okay. I'm gonna give it an okay score. I've yet to print with it. It did not come with any stock G-code, but we will print with it shortly, so stay tuned for that time lapse. It'll literally be right after I'm done talking about it. At 250 bucks, which is what we bought it for, I believe it hangs out around the 300 range right now. At 250, there are some egregious problems that I really, yeah, I can't look past. It does not sound an alarm for thermal runaway. Yes, it shuts off the heaters, which is great. I'm glad that it does that. However, it doesn't do anything else. You won't know. And the board is not all silent steppers. It is just the X, Y that are silent. The Z and the E axes are not. And while those don't move very fast or move very much, these are corners that I don't like to see being cut. I like that it came with all the tools you needed. The clippers are nice. The little scraper ain't bad. The micro SD card is going to be absolute and utter garbage, but you know, otherwise it ain't bad. I think building the Ender 3 previously helped out a lot here, but we still have, I'm checking my time, about an hour and 15 minutes on the build total. So not too bad. I'd like that it's got a filament sensor. It says that it has resume printing, so power loss detection. We're gonna test that for the Benchy, but you know, the build plate size, the fact that it's a direct drive, it's not like you can clearly see a Bowden tube, so don't tell me it's direct drive. It's close, but it's not pure direct drive. It's using a generic Titan from E3D, so it's a clone of the Titan extruder. There are some nice qualities of life. The filament sensor is really nice. I mean, it's all on printed parts, so it may not be long for this world. I like the red touches. I know that's just kind of weird, but it's anodized red or powder coated. It's powder coated red, which they have to pay extra for. And so if you have to pay extra to make it red, why don't you pay extra for a little bit nicer drivers, screws that are the right size and things like that? Overall, the build experience could have been worse. I've certainly dealt with worse, but I've certainly dealt with better. But you know, it even comes with a spare end stop switch, and I can't fault that, man. So we're gonna get this print rolling here, and then I will do some final thoughts. It also definitely, yeah, the concentric nuts need to be tightened because that wheel spins freely. But you know, dual Z, which is really nice. That was unexpected. I did not expect to have 2 Z lead screws. Ran into a little bit of problem, but that was more my fault than anything else, so that's okay. I'm gonna let that one go. I think if you need a big print area, you don't mind putting some work into it, and just know that you need to have auto leveling on it. Just do it. Do it. Put auto leveling on it. Stop. I know a lot of you say, oh, I only level my printer once and I never have to touch it. Guess what? That's not like the vast majority of people. Auto leveling is going to cost you like 65 bucks or something like that from TH3D, or like 40 bucks from Pyroball. But Pyroball PCBs is definitely for the higher end. So if you want to see me install one of those, we're going to do it at some point. But let me know if you want to see it on this machine. Leave a comment below and we'll take a look. But you know, I've certainly had worse experiences in this industry, so this isn't that bad. I will say it's really loud. The fan on the motherboard is very, very, very loud. Loud to the point where it's kind of annoying. So I think if I was going to use this printer long term, which our plan is to, we're going to upgrade the crap out of it for the channel. We're going to show it off. This is going to be ended up being compared to a Mark III's. So the goal for this is to put a little bit of cash into it, see if we can directly compete with an MK3S in speed, quality, reliability, and features. If we can do that, sweet. We're going to find out. But the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to replace that damn fan. That fan is terribly loud, and that stuff's pretty easy to fix. But yeah, not the thermal runaway I was hoping for. It does stop heating, from what I can tell, but it doesn't warn you, and that is kind of a problem. The touchscreen is nice, but you can see it's already covered in fingerprints, which is going to drive me up the wall. Could be worse. It's not a bad interface. I don't like the firmware, so I would look at reflashing it. Maybe Gyres or somebody has a firmware built for... This is effectively a CR-10, and I think if you flashed it as a CR-10, it likely wouldn't know the difference. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on this. I'd love to know your thoughts down in those comments below. Let's get to that time lapse. I was getting this printer all ready to be time-lapsed. I apologize for the bad audio. I didn't think I need to be talking right now. But I use Prusa Slicer CR-10v3, which is what this should be. And yeah, it's been 3 minutes and it's not doing anything. Like, look, I had this thing ready to go, time lapse. Like, look at that angle. That angle would have been great. But if the printer isn't going to start, none of this actually matters. So I'm going to give it another minute and a half or so, and then I'm just going to have to go in. It's got some preloaded G-code files on here, so I'm going to figure out if there's maybe something in the code that it doesn't like, and I guess we'll figure it out. This is not what I was planning to do. I was planning just to start a freaking print, put this camera, you guys, on time-lapse, but sometimes, man, sometimes. Okay, well, I can tell you that's not a silent stepper. That is very loud. But this uses absolute rather than relative, which is what everybody else uses. Why are you going up a bunch? Okay. Well, this uses 82 versus 83, and I think that's a G command. That puts it into absolute positioning rather than relative positioning, and apparently this is not a common thing, because that's what was messing up its G-code. So, viably, we should be good. So, I'm going to get this thing set over to time-lapse. Get this bad boy open. We have a new unboxing knife. This is stupid sharp, but we are going to take a look. Wow, I said stupid sharp and it didn't cut through it. There we go. Let's get this open. Let's put this knife away because we probably don't need it where we're going. Yep, the white foam, that's how you know. Off with your head. Ooh, PLA filament. That's actually an interesting color. Probably complete and utter garbage, but that is A-okay. we've got a quick installation guide. When a quick installation guide is reasonably that long, I'm not too confident that the word quick actually makes sense. Some PLA filament, a little bit of foam. Don't need that where we're going. We've got, appears to be, yep, a hardware kit. So we have a hardware kit here. Put that to the side. We've got the pull rods, 285 millimeters. Those are the rods that keep the Z-axis steady. Definitely like seeing those. A random printed part for the filament runout sensor. We'll be looking at that here in just a minute. Good Lord. Card reader. Belts. Yeah, this is going to be an involved process. Ooh, we got some diagonal cutters. Are these any good? Let's find out. I like the handle on them. Ooh. Oh, these are actually not bad. They don't come together perfectly, but you know what? We paid $250 for this printer. It was on crazy sale, so I can't be too upset. This scraper, very sharp, also is already rusty. Sometimes I get a little bit concerned of the safety of these printers. And what you actually expect in the box is actually not what you get. I will say, I'd like the red powder coating. I'm going to give bonus points for the red powder coating. I do like that. Power cord, I've already got one of those. These USB cords are generally absolute trash. Go buy a new, just like I said in the Photon Mono X unboxing. If you want to take a look at that, we'll card to it right above me. Generally, the SD cards, cables, and all that come with these printers are garbage. Don't use them. For the price of a brand new micro SD card, a brand new USB thumbstick, and a brand new USB-B cable, it's not worth messing up your printer. But put it to the side. I'll put it to the side. We've got a material rack, which is probably one of the most cheaply built filament arms that I've ever seen. Some 2020, some 2040, and if you're wondering why they're called that, it is because 2020 is 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters. These are two next to each other. 2040 is 20 by 40 wide. See, it's like it makes sense. Put those over there. We've got some foam that we can take off. Out you go. Other little crap. We don't care about you. We've got more printed parts. Z limit switches. Okay. So wait, 2 Z limit switches. That means this thing has dual Z. Nice. I was not expecting that. We've got the extruder. This is your bog standard extruder. It is a Creality style extruder, as to be expected. It is not all metal, but it's, you know, it's serviceable, we'll say. I do recommend that that is one of the first things that you do is put an all metal hot end on this. It has a better blower than the Ender 3. This is a 50-15, and I think that's the one on the Ender 3 is like a 30-10. These are better blowers, but it's only coming from one side. I would highly recommend looking at printing a better fan shroud. I'm sure we'll do an upgrade series on this. We do see that Titan, I'm going to put some quotes around that because it is an E3D Titan extruder, but this is definitely not made by E3D. And hilariously, the Titan extruder has a hobbed gear here rather than just gear teeth. So a hobbed gear has a bit of a bowl shape in it. This does not have that. So this is not actually a Titan. What were you expecting? And this is a Kunovo stepper motor, not to be confused with Kinovo, which makes really, really nice hot plates. This is not that company. You've got the X-axis left part 1, another motor. What the heck? All of their pulleys are black. I don't think I've seen that on a 3D printer before. Not one of this caliber, we'll say. X bearing 1, oh, that's gonna suck to tighten. Z motor 1, yeah, Z motor with coupling 1. Put those over there. I guess it's time to get this out of here. Oh, this thing is not heavy at all. Wow, that's upsettingly light. All right, well, I gotta set you up here while I grab some more of your friends out from here. Let's grab some friends. These are bearing blocks, so they're screw rod followers. These are for the Z-axis. X stop. The other Z-axis motor, that's what we want to see. Beautiful. And somewhere, yep, there they are. The 2 Z-axis screw rods, as they say, but they're lead screws. So I don't think there's anything else. Nope. Be gone with you, sir. Be gone with you. Let's get a first impression on this real quick here. Get the extruder out of the way. Unboxing experience, not that bad. I've had worse. Ooh, why is that so crusty? What is under you? Am I hitting a piece of foam? Oh, yes, there is foam. Okay. Go away. There are a lot of printed parts on this printer. Like, a lot of printed parts. More printed parts than I feel reasonably necessary. Yeah, this is kind of jank. It's so chewy. Oh, that's gonna make so much noise. There does not appear to be adequate cable management done here, so I'm a little concerned about that. Glass bed, as you expect from Creality. It's using a generic, meanwhile looking power supply. It's got some thermal tape underneath, but it's like all the stuff that matters seems to be just like haphazardly installed. Initial impressions aren't great. I mean, yeah, it's cool that it came with this, but like, let's get these instructions. Quick install guide. Yeah, let's see about that. Okay, these instructions are real bad. Install the Z parts. I mean, whatever, dude. I'm probably not that stupid, so maybe we'll figure it out. Let's get those cut open here. The extrusions aren't bad. They're V-slot, so, which makes sense because this entire printer uses V wheels. Does it tell us how it wants it to go? Nope, and it's install. INSHTALL. So we're gonna install some parts for this. It doesn't tell me where it wants these screws. I'm assuming these would be for your Z-axis end stops. So we're gonna put them low. So that's gonna end up going something like that. Got our parts kit. Let's hope it just came with decent parts, man. Okay, it does have its own micro SD. Belts we're not gonna need until later. We'll start laying stuff out on the table. Let me move this over. Spare nozzle. It's got a whole bag that just says spare parts. The filament runout sensor is 3D printed. I said that earlier, but it's like, that's just so weird to me. Good, we have tools. I don't need them, but, you know, if I don't have to use my own, that is my preference. Especially because not everybody has. Ball and hex keys. Can't hate on that, man. I'm glad that these cheaper printers are starting to come with ball and hex keys, because it really does make the entire process a whole lot easier. Am I right on the first try? No, I am not. That one was smaller. Is it really this big one? No, it doesn't fit. I don't think they gave us the right size hex keys. That is hilarious. They do not give you the right size hex key. You can make the big one work, which is exactly what I'm going to do, but it is not the right size, to be frank. Turn the printer on its side. Get 1 in, get 2 in, get the big old rod. It's not a rod, but you get the idea.
That's no rod.
It really doesn't fit. It just like, just barely fits on the outside. It's not the right way to go. So I highly recommend that if you buy one of these, you get your own tools. Oh, okay, well, it fits on the other screws. So maybe one of the screws is just out of spec. You know, screws being out of spec, that's totally normal for a 3D printer. How do you not have screws that are to spec? This is not that difficult. And I get that, like, on sale, this was $250. I paid $250 for this. So, like, all right, there's, like, some level that I have to say, well, that's just acceptable. But, like, screws that don't fit under no circumstances are acceptable to me. Yeah, they fit better on this side. And another messed up screw. Are you kidding me? Like, how difficult is this? I shouldn't have to wiggle my ball end hex key to actually make the whole darn thing fit together. That's not normal. I can't, I gotta, insane. All right, well, that's gonna have to be tight enough because as you can see, it's too tight and it doesn't fit. Let's flatten that back out. We've got the Z-axis motors, which it wants us to mount something like that on the back side here. When you are doing the Z-axis, if the bed is pushed forward, it might make it a little bit easier. And of course, the threads in this, I mean, they're terrible. They're incredibly tight. One of these so far has been cross-threaded, and I get for like 250 bucks, I probably don't have too much room to complain, but it worries me that with this kind of corner cutting, we're gonna check this thing for thermal runaway. I mean, this is nice that it has 2 Z lead screws. Like, at some point, there's only so much room that I can complain. Install the 2040, install the motor and coupling. All right, part the second. Install the X-axis. So we want the X-axis left side, which will be on my right, your left. The motor should be on the outside as far as I'm aware. Ooh, why is that? That's really loose. Yeah, that's gonna have to be tightened. And it needs some screws? Yeah, it needs some screws to go into here. Interesting. Okay, well, I've learned from the Ender 3 that the ones with the 2 and the 2, like that, go on the top. This is the one that we likely want to be that way. So now the question is, what the heck goes where? And from looking at the photos, I can make some determinations here that this piece is supposed to go. No. And what side? This is all very, very unclear. Install X-axis left part with 2 M4x16. We've got the parts. Oh, this is actually spelled correctly. This is actually install. I was gonna correct myself and say install, but no. This one is spelled correctly. Because, I mean, that clearly goes there. I've got my other X-axis part that, okay, sure. Yeah, this makes total sense. It says to install the X-axis left. So, X-axis left. That goes like that. On the right track the first friggin' time. These ones are going to be a pain in the butt to get in. So these you will have to pre-install the screws, which not the easiest, but not impossible. So the Allen key will get passed through these holes here, straight down and in. Now it wants me to install the extruder, which means I'm going to have to undo. Oh, I was gonna say it doesn't come with cable cutters. It definitely does though. Woo, yeah, I like those. Those are nice. All right, we install, this goes on. I am bummed the end stops kind of suck on this, but it's okay. We've got our extruder. I'm gonna start to put this up here just so I can get it to hang out. It wants me to get the belt. The belt it wants us to install like this. So separate from the Ender 3, this has a fully exposed belt path. Now it's actually something that I liked on the Ender 3, that it actually hid the belt path quite well, which is nice for little fingers. This has, you know, exposed motor gears, which it does cut costs. So unlike the Ender 3, belt tension on this is gonna suck. It's all manual. So not too pleased about that. Do you want this on the front or on the back? You want this on the front. Ah, I made a mistake already. When you install the X carriage, make certain that you have a belt on the inside before you install the V wheels, or it's not going to fit. Ask me how I know. I'm gonna put this up here just so I can rest it for a little bit. Now we should be able to get this over. Beautiful. I'm just gonna get this one just barely on there. The belt's gonna be loose. We'll tighten it later. Bit of a downside to the Ender 3 that the belt tensioning is a little bit more complicated here. Okay. Those two go just like that. So we'll need the last two of the M4x16. And so I'm looking at the back of the printer and I'm noticing we've got 2 bolts there with nylocks, and it looks like they were shear cut. That is quite dangerous to little hands, so please be careful around little hands. Oh, or big hands. I mean, it's kind of dangerous for everybody, but just be careful, please, because like that stuff will slice you open like a stuck pig. And I don't want to see that. There's a screw all the way on this end, and it's totally cross-threaded. Dang. Why are you fully cross-threaded already? Let's see if we can get it in there. This is, again, why you don't use cheap hardware. By the way, if you like content like this, make sure you get subscribed. We are doing a buy one, get one free 3D printer coming really soon, where you think that's a great deal until you realize the free printer is a return. So I have no idea what's in one of those boxes. One of them is definitely Ender 3 clone. The other one is a return. So it could be a hunk of junk, could be a hunk of burning love. I guess we'll find out. Now is, oh God, I've got hair stuck in this. I am with this printer forever. I am one with the printer. Oh, there's an X end stop. That's an end stop. Oh, is this like a... Oh, it goes over here. Remember how I was saying I liked the Ender 3 because it had a closed path? this is their solution to that. A stamped and folded piece of metal. You know what? I can't hate that. What I can hate is how all the things are upside down. Hopefully, I did it right. Boy, if I did it wrong, I'm gonna be mad. Now there you go. That's gonna be your cover. So you know what? Those points that I deducted earlier, we're gonna go ahead and add those back. I'm still gonna continue to take points away for having different size bolts. But that's nice. That's a good way to keep the belt path nice and secure. So yeah, I can't be mad anymore. I was mad earlier. I am mad now. Okay, now it wants us to push this down some. Down you go. Where you stop, gravity knows. And then it wants us to put the top bar on. Again, this is exactly the way the Ender 3 went. Will it have crusty threads? It's had a couple, but nowhere near as crusty as the Ender 3. What it does have are bolts that are not machined to spec, and that frustrates me. Not the right one. It's the big one. It's a big girl. Like, you can't hide the fact that this thing is huge. For 250 bucks, I bought this thinking, what the hey. It's a 12 by 12 by 16, so 300 by 300 by 400. 250 bucks, I mean, even if it really sucks, I can make it not suck for not too much extra. And by me, I mean probably Brad. Brad's one of our local staffers. And if you don't know about Brad, Brad has his own episode of the podcast. It'll be episode 10. We'll card to it if you guys want to go check it out. It's Brad and his wish. If you are cooking dinner, go ahead and cut some extra onions because you'll want an excuse. That episode is probably one of our darker episodes. It was back in the dark ages of 3D Musketeers when we first had a podcast and we had no idea what we were doing. That was back right when we rebranded. That was a long time ago. Again, half of these screws are... I'm guessing that these screws are painted after the fact, and that's why they don't really meet spec. Like, the freaking Allen key... 1 out of the 3 the Allen key fits into. I'm just here so I don't get fined. It wants us to do the screw rods next. On the Ender 3, these were lubed way too much, but let's see how they did here. From one extreme to the other, there is not an ounce of lubricant on here. Yes, for all of our followers that just winced, I'm sorry. Thankfully, we've talked about it in a previous video where we talked about essential tools for FDM, or really essential tools for 3D printing in general. We're card to it right there. Sewing machine oil is great for this exact purpose. So I'm checking to make sure that it's running true before I go ahead and tighten her up. Okay. Yeah, not an ounce of lubricant in sight. We're going in dry. And so the way to fix these, you normally run the carriage all the way up until it bottoms out. Or I guess tops out? I don't know the right term for that. But with 2 Z lead screws, they can of course come out of sync. And that's why on a printer like this, and for as large as this is, it's likely quite imperative that you put a bed leveling system on it. I don't see easy provisions for a BL Touch. I don't see those. That's not great. And it wants us to put the, where are they? The fixing rod blocks. These. Up at the top here. Oh, okay. So it's just a piece of plastic with a ball bearing that's rolling around in it. That's all right. No big deal. It's not necessary to have these, but you know, I ain't complaining that we got them. Very thankful to have that. That's going to hold the top lead screws in. They still wiggle a little bit, which is okay. But it's going to hold them in a lot better than nothing. Now, it wants us to install the Z limit switches. We got a couple of those bad boys. Again, printed housings, which is kind of odd. Well, actually, okay, so it's got a piece of laser cut acrylic with a piece of plastic bonded on top of it. And then the switch itself is covered by a 3D printed part. Really odd. And it wants the Z lead something like this, it looks like. Is that what you want? You want them away from the motor, facing on the inside. Yep, that's exactly what you want. Okay. I know what I want. It's the same thing since the 90s, a zig-a-zig-ah. I never got it, man. Never friggin' got it. Okay, so a couple of these were too tight from the factory, meaning that when you go to tighten them, they're called T-nuts, and the T-nuts allow it to slip in, and then when you tighten it, they turn it and they cam lock in. If your T-nuts are not properly tightened from the factory, they'll be too tight or too loose and it won't work. Okay, now we do these big boys, and to do that, I'm gonna turn the printer sideways. There's a lot of weight in the packaging because this thing is considerably lighter than I expect it to be. Ah, these are nice. Just like, are they fully threaded? No, they're threaded a little bit. Aluminum rods. These are probably the screws that are needed for the Z-axis, so let's get all of that out here. Oh, look at that. It's in nice sealed packages. I like that. I can get down with that. All right. This is where things go a little bit crazy. We're just going to go ahead and cut open all of these parts. All right. So my thought is we got the two rods put together in their full length first. Should hopefully make things a little bit easier. And it's literally just a piece of all thread, but in M6. That's a really long way down. Are they short threaded on one side, long threaded on the other? Yeah. It wants these really funky end bolts on here, which I can totally enjoy. They call them live bolts. This is obviously to help with the squaring of the printer. This is good on your tall machine. So if you have a tall 3D printer and it doesn't have these Z braces, make sure you do it. If you have a short printer, you might actually see some benefit from adding some Z braces. I know back in the day, before the days of the Ender 3, a long time ago, in a galaxy far away, it was way better if you added some vertical stability to your printer. It's like ringing like the fact that it's coming loose. Whatever. Okay, same thing over here. Apparently we're almost done. That's a plus. It wants you to put the filament on the top. We talked about this on the Ender 3 video. I am probably gonna try to put it right there. Maybe right here. Somewhere where it doesn't have to be all the way on the top. And I said that on the Ender 3 video and it never worked out. I'm gonna see if I can get it to work out on this video. We've got our brackettas. And it wants us to do one bolt. I love when companies reuse things. This plate is clearly not made for this, and they're just reusing it, and it makes me laugh. So they want us to use the M4x8, which are these. This isn't right. Hilarious. So I'm gonna show you guys this. So they give you a piece of metal, and if you notice, the holes here are smaller than the hole here. Well, I can't. Like, the holes aren't the right size. There needs to be some washers in here. The bolts are, like, barely long enough to do what you need to do. This is not great. The other issue you run into is that there's no physical stop for these. You just kind of have to put them somewhere and hope for the best. Do the one on the other side here. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that this printer comes with this stuff, but it should be done a little bit nicer. I have to basically assume that the two rails here and here are at the same distance, because if they're not, this won't work. So I let that T-nut spin, and then I basically bottomed it into that front plate. These go up here, from what I can see. So, same procedure. Couple of bolts, couple of T-nuts. This is when I wish I had a camera operator, because this would be a really cool thing to show kind of up close. I only have two hands, and I am not going to stick a GoPro on my head when we're also filming my full head. For these, I guess I'm going to try to butt them up. I can use that piece of metal to butt it up, so that's all right. Let's get like one of these spun. Okay. We're gonna pull it out just a little bit. We'll use this piece of metal to... I have a feeling that there's a fair bit of leeway here for where things need to be. Also with T-nuts, you kind of have to make sure that they're level. You see how they have some wiggle in them? You want to be, you know, kind of flat up against a surface. You decide which one. Now, before we go that far, I want to see something. How much flex is there? That's really not that much flex. Part of me says you don't even need this, but better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Am I right, folks? You don't want to torque down T-nuts too much because you can actually over-tighten them, so be careful about that. All right, this clearly has to come out some, which I think I basically expected. Same thing with this. We're gonna put them all the way out. And trust me here, I don't have a lot of faith in a cantilevered little tiny screw, but I'll tell you, it's probably better than nothing. Gosh, this thing is really not threaded correctly. All right. That goes there. This. Now, because there's not a lot of force on it right now, I'm not gonna tighten these too much. Over time, you'll want to kind of check them. Make sure the printer is still square. I mean, honestly, these look pretty cool. Like, I'll give them credit. Like, when you add on the cool factor, these kind of have it, right? I mean, that... And like, instantly, that is considerably more sturdy. Now, would I trust it? Nah, probably not. I'm going to be a bit of a persnickety person here and try to get these roughly at the same length. I think this build is going better because I've already done the Ender 3. So, something to note. I mean, if you've already done something like this before, the second build probably not going to be all that bad. Other thing to note is these are not threaded in inverse directions. So if I spin it like that, it's actually going to push the whole thing apart. So you have to set the length before you really put it together. But yeah, adding those on there adds a ton of extra strength. So kudos. It does actually have a filament sensor, so let's get that installed. It says that's the next thing anyways. Hilariously, it is a 3D printed part. That is probably not going to last, but the first time you do an ABS print in here, say goodbye to your filament sensor. And the first time you enclose it and print, say goodbye to your filament sensor. I'm not even sure what material it's made out of, but it feels very, very lightweight. Like there's not a lot of perimeters here. Let you know, again, not bad to have it. So it claims Easy BL Touch, but I don't see any place on the extruder to add it, which is a little upsetting. I wish there was, because I would put one on here, but likely we're going to end up doing a TH3D kit to it. All right, it wants us to install the, where is it? This thing. We, however, are not going to pay attention to that. We are going to install that somewhere like this. I don't want it to get in the way of the extruder, and it won't. All right. We'll install it right there. Like I said in the Ender 3 video, although with this one, because of the stability rods, it probably won't be that bad. Oh, you know what? With the direct drive, yeah, you'll want it up top. I did the same thing with the Ender 3. I installed it somewhere, and I said, well, you know, it's still not good to have it up here. Like, I still don't think this is the best place for it. But it'll work. All right, so that's it. We have gotten the thing built. We're gonna remove the glass plate here. This is just held on with your bog standard binder clips. My preference is like the set that comes on the Ender 3. That's okay. We're likely going to a flex bed very, very soon, so I'm not gonna use this for very long. All right, here, I'll do it for you guys. You ready? Wait a minute. I've been bamboozled. This is not a peel. It might be peel from over here. Okay, there you go. Yeah, it's a bag. It's like in some weird bag. Okay, one side is clean glass. The other side is that texture sheet. Put clean glass on. Got all these cables. We got to start looking at wiring. This is your Z-axis motor 1, or X-axis, excuse me. Where's the cable for the Z? Oh, that's a real pain in the butt. How does that go on? That end stop switch is really tough to get wired. Am I an idiot? Oh yeah, I think I am. I think I have it upside down. Okay, there we go. This is the motor for here. Oh boy. I'm sure there are a lot of people yelling at me right now, because this entire cable set has been put in incorrectly. Oh, that sucks. What is the easiest way to fix that? Oh, that hurts. That hurts. It's probably to take it off from over here. Don't make that mistake. That's a bad mistake to make. So for those that haven't seen it, the wires need to be on the top side, not the bottom side. That is an absolute oopsie on my side, but I also think, you know, should totally not be something that should happen. It's not, if it's in the instructions, my idiot brain missed it. But all we're gonna do here is we're gonna pop it off of this side. There was a little tree frog in here. We have to save a friend. I'll be right back.
One tree frog later.
All right, so we have both these screws out. Looks like we do, which should, if I'm lucky, enable me to kind of all right, that worked. All right, so there you go. I mean, if you make the same dumb mistake I did, there's really no good place to put these wires. That is really terrible, because I mean, look, it can get caught there. Yeah, maybe it... Do we have a visitor? Come in. Who is it? It's the cat. Victoria wanted to say hello. Did she come out to inspect my mistake that I had to take off one of the axes to fix? What do you think, Victoria? Do you like cheap Chinese 3D printers?
I don't know.
She's unsure.
She was at the door, wondering what's going on.
I've heard her pawing at the door a few times. Yep, we're finishing up the printer here, Miss Vicky. Can we get a like for the cat? Come on. She's pretty great. You all know her, you all love her. Of course, that's Amber.
All right, now that she's out here, she's decided.
She wants to go in.
I figured it out. There are things, there are smells, there.
Okay.
Sure.
She's just a loaf of cat.
Bye.
We're still dealing with where this goes. You don't want to, like, leaving this like that is such a bad idea, because as the printer comes back, it's going to end up catching your cables. So there needs to be a better method to deal with these cables. And right now, it's all limp and floppy like, and nobody likes that. Now, I guess, technically, if you made enough wire, if you did that with one of the zip ties that came with it, that might work. Oh, it comes with a spare end stop switch. Out of all things, it comes with spare. An end stop switch was not the thing I would expect. Is that what that's for? It's absolutely what that is for. That is absolutely cable management. How bad are these zip ties? Let's find out. Sufficient slack to move back and forth without pinching anything. We like that. That just kind of runs into there. I'm sure that's fine. We'll add another one. There's 2 holes, so it probably wants to have 2. Probably adds a little stability there too. These zip ties are truly one of the cheapest zip ties I think I've ever used. But it came with it, so we're gonna use it. This isn't the most elegant way, but like, I guess it's serviceable. I wanna bring this all the way up. I wanna make sure that I have enough to go all the way up. Can I just like... Ah, you can apparently pull that out. That's exactly what you want, I guess. These are definitely off, so let's loosen those. Yep, that's gonna let that one fall. I didn't even think about that those may not be aligned properly. Aha! Yeah. See, we've got a cable problem. It can only go up that high, which is not the full length. All right, we're gonna cut these cords again because clearly we've got a problem. Right? It needs to be at least like this. But yeah, is there just not enough cable? No. This printer can't be that bad that it does not come with enough cable. I refuse to believe that a 3D printer can be so bad that it doesn't come with enough cable. Oh, and of course we have to loosen up the couplers down here because we pulled those out earlier. Oh, this whole thing just keeps getting worse. You don't have enough cable to do what you need to do. Yeah, and I definitely have this the right way. I'm like, maybe the extruder is backwards? It's definitely not. It just doesn't have anywhere near enough cable. This is like one of the dumbest problems I think I've ever seen on a 3D printer. How in the world do you not include enough cable? Like, I feel like that is just something that doesn't happen. Because I'm sorry, but this cannot be floppy all the time like that. But it literally has to be. What the actual... Again, I can just pull the lead screws out. That is hilarious and terrifying to me that the lead screws don't stay in their holders. I think the holders are a little undersized. I'm gonna put these all the way up to the top. I'm unfortunately at a little bit of a bind as of what to do here. There's literally not enough cable. And if your print is like that and you try to go backwards, that's it. You're stuck and you're gonna start skipping steps. The bed goes all the way to there. So there has to be a better system for cable management, and there just literally isn't. Like, they gave you the bare minimum amount of cable needed if you don't cable manage. Wait a minute. Ha ha! There's more. It's just hidden, and it's zip tied. Okay. That is way more better. Why? There is nowhere in the instructions that tell you, literally they don't tell you this. It's got plenty of cable now. Actually, a little bit too much in some areas. All right, let's get some more of those zip ties again. I've got extra zip ties somewhere, so I'm not too concerned if I use all of their crappy ones. Mine are actually decent. All right, well, at least the wire situation has solved itself. Two different issues with wiring on this printer. One my fault, one the instructions fault, I think. And yes, I believe you need to have both. It's still a little non-ideal because it can catch your part. This can still go up a little bit, but I think we're gonna be okay. Yeah, we got that extra slack. All right, I feel a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit. Let's cut those. Definitely got to put another one in here. Their cable management is really, really rough. The cable management is important, so it is something you need to do. I think with that failure, I will have just enough. This is still bad. The bed is bad. I do need to put the printer on its side because I need to get these two connected up. Hilariously, they did the Z motor backwards. Why would they? Okay, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. The motor is on the inside of the rail now instead of the outside. Why? Don't ask me. I just work here. There you go. I think we're done. Just got to make sure the power supply is set to 115. There goes the bed. It definitely is. We have a power thing on the side. I've already got a power cord. I'm going to scoot it back so the top-down camera can see as well. Oh, we have a peel. Here, let me go ahead and do that for you guys. Oh. Not bad, not bad. All right. We're ready for first power on. Let's do it. That's loud. Boy, that fan is real loud. Don't know if my mic picks that up, but it is really loud. So we're going to go to home, all. Let's see what happens. Silent board. This is not. This is definitely not a silent board. This is actually one of the loudest printers that I own. I'm not proud of that. The nozzle is touching the glass surface, but that is all right. We're going to loosen these because we do have to tension this belt quite a bit. We're going to just quickly set the bed level here. It's probably not going to be perfect, but that's all right. Right, I have to disable XY. Something to point out, the nozzle can go further than the bed. Interesting. Okay, that should be fine. Oof. That's never fun. You would think that they could get these closer from the factory, but nope. And I'll tell you, as somebody with a bad back, that bend really hurts. That's the basics, really. I mean, we got it running. It's on, it moves. Here, let's do Z, 10 millimeters. Silent boards. This is not. It does have an E3D Titan. E3D Titan, it's fake. E3D Titan costs almost as much as this entire printer did. What worries me, and I'm going to show it on the top-down cameras, we have right here is a end stop switch, but we've got the bed cable, and if you look, if the bed goes all the way forward, then comes all the way back, it has a tendency sometimes to get caught. And that cable running like that is not great. I don't like that. But she does work. Let's see what's on the SD card here. I'm going to turn the printer to face me real quick. That way it's a little bit easier for me to use. It comes with this crappy 8 gig SD card. And like, don't get me wrong, this is okay. We'll preheat. Extrusion 200. Sure. No files on the card. Well, that sucks. Oh, this filament is really bad. And of course, because it comes with no spool whatsoever, we all know it's going to work great. Yeah, see, this mechanism, it's actually good that the front camera can see it is not great. But the filament sensor works, you know. All right, so I'm preheating the printer, but it's not showing me anything on the screen. The screen is not showing me that it's preheating. All right, for some reason, it's not taking the heat. I've got it set. We'll see if it continues to play this game. It is heating. Now, I'm fairly certain... Yeah, I can feel the heat bed getting hot. I'm fairly certain the entire board is under here. And I want to check if it has thermal runaway. So we're going to do that live, on camera. Do not do this on your own, because at this point in my career, my preference is to not have a house fire. Oh, it really stinks. Why does it stink? I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna click on extrusion. We're gonna do 45 millimeters. I don't even know if that's gonna be enough. As it's doing that, I'm gonna keep working on trying to get this open. Now, a lot of you may say, well, you know, you shouldn't take it apart. You're right, I shouldn't. But I'm gonna. It is extruding. That's what we want to see. Beautiful. Good. It extrudes. That's a plus. Oh, you know what? I can get to the motherboard a lot easier from the bottom of the printer. I could just cut one of the wires for the thermistor. I just really don't want to do that. Touchscreen isn't... Is it still extruding? No, it's just... The filament's hot and it's just dragging itself through. I'm checking for exposed. mains wiring as well. Kind of anything that you'd look at and say, huh? Okay, mains wiring is reasonably held in there. Again, don't do this. I'm doing this for you guys. I want to make sure nobody gets hurt. But you know what? While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to set up a second camera. Okay. We got the other camera rolling here. Just so, you know, if things go pop, bang, smoke comes out and all that. The fans on this are just so dang loud. It's unreasonably loud. All right. It doesn't like that. So what's going on here? Why are you getting stuck? So if we look at the board, we've got kind of a mix of stepper motors. What kind of a board? Is this a SKR? Yeah, looks like it. Also looks like it has a provision for another stepper motor, which is nice. That fan is terrible and I hate everything about it. All right, well, we're gonna find out because we need to pull one of those two pairs of white wires. I'm gonna do it while holding the camera here. And if we pull it, the screen is dark. I might have pulled the cable out of the screen, so let me go see what I can find. The printer is not signaling thermal runaway. Now, I want to see if... but it is not letting me heat things up. Let's see if it does now. As soon as I pull this out... No way. No way. No, 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 no. Ah! It does not have thermal runaway. Is the bed still heating? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I pulled it for the bed, because the hot end is still showing me that it's fine, so. Okay, so it's not letting me add temperature to the heat bed. So it did turn it off, but it's not signaling thermal runaway. Really, well, what it should be doing is showing me min temp error. As soon as I plug that back in, that's fine. I'm gonna add some to the extrusion. You can see the red light turning on for the MOSFET. That red light means it's heating. We're gonna unplug that cable, goes to the hot end. If that red light turns out immediately, then it works. There it goes. Okay, so the printer knows that something is wrong, and it instantly turned off the heat. I will take that as better than nothing. It is, however, not ideal. The printer should yell at you and say, hey, dummy, something ain't right. But yeah, these are not silent steppers. In fact, I'm turning off the machine. I'm unplugging its power. I'm gonna bet that these are Allegro 4988s. And to check, all I gotta do is pull the top off one. 4988, yep. These are not silent. So the green ones, they're normally Allegro 4988s, which are not silent. And then let's take a look at these. Okay, so these ones here are TMC 2208s. Those are considered to be silent, quote unquote. However, it appears that it is only for X and Y. I think this is an SKR. I'm honestly not certain. There's no markings on it that tell me otherwise. It does have provisions for another stepper motor right there, which is kind of cool. But yeah, not full silent, and it doesn't have the alarming thermal runaway. But I'm gonna go ahead and close this back up now. There you go, motherboard. Needless to say, I'm not impressed. Printers need to have more safety than this. And boy, they made this case as physically tiny as they could. Now, of course, they never intend for you to open it, and they definitely did not intend for me to open it. It doesn't mean that you should just instantly skimp there, right? I like that the stepper motor drivers are replaceable. I mean, you know, I'll give them some credit there. All you had to do was put the 2208s on all of them, and it would not have been that bad. But no. And like, at some point, you're not even saving money. You're just being cheap. So, buyer beware. It won't immediately tell you that it goes in a thermal runaway. It will shut off the heater, from what I can tell, which is a plus. I'll give it credit for that. And I'm sure that there is other firmware that you can put on here. It would not surprise me if there is an open source one out there. But like, when you unplug a thermistor on a Prusa, unless you have turned all your buzzers and stuff on silent. I think even if you do, it will still sound an alarm and say, hey, dummy, I've got a problem. And I think that all 3D printers should do that. Because ultimately, if you don't know what's wrong, how are you supposed to be able to attempt to repair it? And there you have it. A CR-10v3. Print is... it's okay. As to be expected, untuned profiles, very stock. It is louder than I expected, but not for the printing. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The freaking fans are crazy loud. With a printer this big, you really do want to have mesh bed leveling, and don't worry, we're going to be doing that real soon. I don't know how well this will hold up over time, so something to be aware of if this is a printer that you're looking to buy. I think that the Z braces are a really nice addition and something that if you have a printer this size and you don't have these, it might not be a bad addition. Although I will say their attachment points and the way that they attach is not great. It's serviceable, but it's not great. It's all cantilevered forces, and I don't really want to get into any of that today. But the Benchy, of course, it is in the crazy acid greens. The cameras don't pick it up, but has some retraction issues, has some cooling issues, hilariously, even though the bow of the Benchy was facing the fan. Has a little bit of cooling issues, but nothing a new fan duct and some tuning couldn't fix. It did also warp on the plate, so this material did not stick all that well. That's not what we're here to test. Before we end this video, we're going to test filament runout, and to do that, we're literally just going to cut the filament. And yes, this filament is crap. I don't like it, never have liked it. And what we're going to do is during the print, we're going to cut the filament. We're going to see if the filament runout sensor works. And then, once we get the filament put back into it, of course, we're going to pull the power cord. Now, power loss detection generally only works when you pull the power cord versus turning off the switch. So we're going to pull the power cord and see if this thing actually has power loss detection. The entire cable for the extruder is dragging on the heat bed. That is not what I want to see. That means you're exposing those cables, the tech flex and all of that, to whatever temperature your bed is. And on a printer like this, according to the manual, it is capable of doing 110 degrees centigrade on the bed. I don't know about you, I don't really feel comfortable having my cables touching that. So there's definitely better ways to do this. I mean, really, one of the easy ways is to put a very, very light spring or elastic rubber band all the way up to here, so it just kind of keeps the cable up. But I feel like this should be something that comes from the factory. Now, full price, I believe these are like 350 bucks. My expectations are higher, right? I don't know. I'm used to paying more for my printers. So we're gonna do filament runout sensor, just like, we'll do that. And we'll see, because the filament runout sensor is right here. So if it does work, we're going to see it together. You know, like the first layer looks pretty decent. Certainly can't complain about it. Neither of the cameras are likely going to pick it up, but the first layer does look pretty good. With that being said, the bed adhesion was not great on the last print. So, and I've said it before, I think flex beds should really be something that come with these printers, and they're not that expensive, so a flex bed is absolutely in the future for this. The same sort of upgrades we're going to do to this big girl, we're going to do to the Ender 3. But the Ender 3, I think we're going to crank it up to 11. Because we can. But as you can hear, maybe, hopefully you can, the printer's very quiet. The loudest thing is the freaking fan. And like, that's like, in volume, not a ton of money. They did not have to skimp on that. All right. It's going through. Let's see what happens. Hey! Hilariously, it will beep and yell at you when it's out of filament, but it won't beep and yell at you for thermal runaway. Okay, okay, okay. Do you shut up? You seriously? Are you gonna keep doing that? Okay, cool. We're going to unload. That was a very violent push, and I think, yep, it failed to unload the filament. Might have just broke the filament sensor, but like, you know, when your printer says, hey, I'm out of filament. This happened to me earlier, too, when I was trying to unload the filament. It ends up with this big glob on it. Quality. All right, let's confirm. We're gonna go ahead and load. Confirm. Oh, that's a very violent load. Are we? Sure, you know what? You say you're loaded. I'm going to believe you. If this printer's going to alarm for when it's out of filament, but it's not going to alarm for thermal runaway, we've got ourselves a problem here. I'm a little mad now. Because if they're going to code in the ability for the buzzer to go crazy when the printer is out of filament, but they're not going to do it for thermal runaway, what's their priority here? Now, mind you, I said before, I don't like the firmware that's on this machine, so we're probably going to reflash it anyways, or I can enable all of these things. Now, I don't want to do this. Clearly, it's not what I want to do. But as soon as we put on a bed probe anyways, we're going to have to reflash the printer. Hilariously, the printer comes with new firmware already on the SD card because it is compatible with the BL Touch. So it does come with the BL Touch firmware, but it is absent, as far as I can tell, of a mounting location for said BL Touch. Now, since this printer wants a BL Touch, maybe we'll go with the BL Touch first, and I also happen to have those in stock. Maybe we can compare that to an inductive probe, or capacitive probe, I guess is the correct term, like a TH3D. So, we're printing. Let's say there's a Florida thunderstorm. Hold on. Here's the lightning. Lightning! Thunder! Bang! And power failure. Oh, but you know what? It was just a flicker. It was just a flicker. It's just a flicker. Let's see if you remember. It's stuck in a boot loop. The printer's stuck in a boot loop. Well, at least the filament runout detection worked. I gotta move this whole thing back so I can look at it a little bit easier. All right, so I'm gonna pull out the SD card. Maybe that's what's pissing it off. Hey, no files found. Right, because I pulled out the SD card. It was stuck in a boot loop. We will try it again. It's not that hard for us to do this again. So I'm going to go to print. Gonna go down. That was my fault. We'll confirm it. I will get this old benchy off the bed. I swear if this thing gets stuck in a boot loop, instead of actually, like, returning to the print, that would be hilarious. Boy, I would not want to come home to this thing going beep, 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 like that after a power outage. That would really upset me. Like, it sounds its alarm for things that it doesn't need to sound its alarm for, but it doesn't sound them for the most important thing, safety features. All right, we're printing again. Florida thunderstorm. I just have fun doing that. And power outage. Rip. One more time. I'm gonna leave it alone for a bit and see if it gets stuck in a boot loop or not. It says booting. Every single time it beeps, the screen says booting. Your manual states that you have power loss detection and resume. The fact that you're stuck in a boot loop determined that was a lie. Welp, if you're gonna buy this printer, make sure you put it on a battery backup because it does not have power loss detection. And as soon as it gets power back on, it's gonna do that. And I don't know if I want to be woken up in the middle of the night to this. I don't know about you, but I sure as heck don't. Mind you, you should not run 3D printers unattended, especially ones at these price points. Don't be stupid. And I know we talked about it a little bit before, but the all-metal hot end, I wish it had an all-metal hot end. It does not. It is a PTFE line Creality hot end. as to be expected. Upgrades from Micro Swiss or maybe going to an E3DV6. Relatively affordable. I'm not too concerned about it. This thing is going to continue to boot loop. That is amazing. Amazing to me. Okay, so it's trying to do some form of power loss detection. What it's doing, I have not a freaking clue. So don't expect this to have power loss detection. Your mileage may vary. Yeah, I mean, kind of bummed that it says that it does something and it definitely doesn't. This is one of the crappiest fake Titans I have ever seen in my life, but it's still serviceable, so meh. Overall, we paid $250 for this on sale. I can't really be too mad. This is easily $250 worth of 3D printer, but at $350, you're expecting it to do what it says, and it doesn't. Do I like this printer as a business? Absolutely not. It is unreliable, unsafe, and quite frankly, no. I like that it has a direct drive extruder that makes it way easier to tune things in like retraction. However, it does limit you on speed, but hey, I don't believe bed slingers should get any larger than this. It's a Cartesian printer, so the bed moves as well. When you're dealing with parts that big, if you don't have an enclosure for this printer, you tend to have warpage even on PLA. I hate the glass surface. I've said that before. They're okay, but they're just not my favorite. I would much rather have a PEI build sheet. Your mileage may vary there. As a hobbyist, do I like it? Absolutely, and I'm glad that I paid $250 for it. If I paid $350, I would probably be a little bit upset. It's just a big Ender 3. It does have 2 lead screws, which is nice. It's got dual Z-axis, so can't knock that. But you know, the power supply is fake. The touchscreen is kind of janky and so many freaking fingerprints. I do like the red powder coating. I just wish they put the money they put into the red powder coating into better firmware. I'd take black powder coating with better firmware, and I don't think there's very few people that wouldn't. That's my opinion. I'd love to know yours down in those comments. TLDR, not a bad printer as long as you're a hobbyist. I'd love to know your thoughts down in those comments. That's all I got on this. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one. Like dealing with the spider. Excuse me, sir. Do you have a moment to talk about your car's extended warranty? And so he's back. The Pothos is here. We finally remembered to bring him in. He enjoyed his little stint outside. We actually clipped some pieces of him, and he's hanging out in the various fish tanks throughout the house. So he will be back soon in full glory. It's a living plant. Give me a break here. Actually, Pothos don't like being outside in Florida unless they're under trees. The more you know. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Right below me is going to be the Ender 3 playlist, and next to it is going to be a video perfectly handpicked just for you. Make sure you get subscribed, leave a like. I will see you down in the comments. Take care.